All right. Well, Leah, I want to thank you so much for joining us on this interview series. This topic, I feel like, is kind of, I feel like, is so important to be brought to the surface. And I think there are a lot of people out there, especially this audience in particular, who are struggling with really, asking questions like, well, how do I find and uncover my authentic self? And when I want to be my authentic self, I feel anxious, I feel scared, I feel like I'm not good enough. And when I saw that you specifically do like art therapy, and creative therapy, I think this is so fascinating. And like I was saying earlier, I feel like this is something kind of like tarot, where you're interpreting things from pictures, but in this case, you're creating the pictures, right? So Leah Guzman is your last name, right? Can you tell us more about yourself and what you do and what motivates you to do the work that you do?
Yeah, so thank you so much for having me here. I'm really happy to share the knowledge, share the love. I'm an artist. I've been an artist all my life, and I'm also an art therapist. I've been practicing art therapy for about 17 years. I can't believe it's been that long. And it actually was most recently about 8 years ago that I actually started sharing my art with the world. So that was like a big thing for me, to come out and just start sharing it with others, to actually sell it and put myself out there. And so as I started putting my art out into the world, there was also a part of me that wanted to show up more and share my art therapy services too. So it kind of allowed me to kind of move up on a platform and say, hey, there's, if you need help in this way, there's these possibilities. So I have, in this time, I've created a program it's my signature program called The Art of Healing and Manifesting. And so what I do is I help creatives, step up and share their gifts with the world. And it's really about up-leveling every area of your life, because everything is interconnected. And sometimes as creatives, we get stuck, and where we get stuck and wanting to show up and share our gifts with the world, it could be emotional issues, baggage, traumas, lack of self-confidence, not knowing how to run a business, money shame. I mean, there's so many aspects of different areas of our life that we can get stuck. So that's my mission, and my goal is to help creatives shine their light and look at the darkness, look at those dark sides of, hey, there is some healing to be done in order for you to manifest. So that's what lights me up in doing
Yeah.
this.
What comes to my mind is like a drawing I drew for a client the other day. I'm like, look, here's you, like a little stick figure, and here's what you want over here, and there's like this wall in between.
Mm-hmm.
And what you want over here is, it can be anything. It could be that person in that partnership, or it could be that goal on the scale, or this type of health, or financial goal, or whatever. And it's like, it looks like a simple drawing, but it's like, yeah, there's actually something sitting in between you and what you want. And it could be your behavior, right? It could be energy. It could be, I think a lot of us are in our heads when it comes to, whether it's journaling or trying to fix our problems, or even through, our own creative arts. And something you talk about is this creative flow. And I think, like, this is why people struggle, is because they're not in this flow, or they don't feel like they're in this flow. Leah, can you talk more about, like, how do we get into this flow, and like, what can we do once we're there, and what does that allow us to do when we're there?
Okay, yeah. So the flow state is really it's about being in your zone of genius. It's about being able to focus your attention and look at whatever goal that you want to achieve and being able to meet it. So it's definitely a dedication. You have to commit to this. You have to say, I want to do this. And then you set your goal, whatever that might be. So when I say creative flow, I work with a lot of creatives, and they might get stuck and they're not in their flow. And it's like, okay, well, we're going to get you unstuck, but you got to step up to the plate. You have to set some boundaries for yourself. You got to, set up a time and a structure and a routine and show up. right? And so as you have these goals, as you're moving forward to reach these goals, there is going to be a satisfaction. So you're going to feel good. And that's what happens in your brain, is like when you're in that creative flow, there is that dopamine release, and you're going to be like, oh, I'm actually like hitting this goal, I'm focused, and it feels good. There's a satisfaction. So yeah, so that's what it means to be in that creative flow. It's something that you have to nurture. We all have it. And so, but we definitely have to, and I lose it. Sometimes I lose it for myself too. And I just like, you know what, I got to get back into my groove. I just got to commit. I got to put it in my agenda and have that focus time. But yeah, it's definitely it's something that you can achieve, but you just have to commit to it.
Mm-hmm. Like when I think of when I'm not in a creative flow, I find myself like editing myself a lot and rationalizing and maybe like correcting myself. What kind of struggles do you see? Like, does this make sense? Like, do people who are not in a creative flow, are they typically like editing themselves, or like, oh, that's not good, or that's not right, or that's stupid? Do you hear things like that?
Yeah, those are definitely the blocks that will stop that creative flow. So that self-talk, we sabotage ourselves, and like to call it the ego. The ego likes to keep us small, or that perfectionist will say it's not good enough. And it's just really identifying. You have to shine a light there and say, like, why is this showing up for me? And where did this little voice come from? And it could have been your mother when you were a child would say things to you, and that was just kind of like put into your head, like, oh, or was that art teacher or someone that said something to you that stuck, right? So if you can just like go back, and that's why it's good to get support, because we don't see it when we're in it. We're just like, oh, we're frustrated, we can't do it. But if you could like take the time, slow down and say, where are these thoughts coming? Where did these beliefs come from? And then you can change that talk that's in your head so that you can get back into that creative flow.
Mhm. And how exactly, I know this is probably a broad question, but how exactly can we use arts to heal ourselves?
Mhm. Yeah, so art is an extension of yourself. It's a reflection. So what you're creating is it's a part of you. And so the healing part is that it could be used as catharsis, meaning that it's just an expression of emotion, and that could help you process what's going on. It can also be used as problem solving. So a lot of times, even with like my program, I say some of it is art therapy, where we do have to do the healing part, but a lot of it is also using it as problem solving, trying to figure out, what's happening in our lives, and then and drawing the stories out, right? And then being able to actually look at your art, and you're saying it was like a tarot. I see it like an oracle. So it's like your art has messages for you.
Mhm.
It's not for me to decide, but as you create it, there are messages. Like if you're stuck in a certain situation and then you start drawing about it, you can actually gain clarity and messages of what's coming through. And that could be through collage, could be through painting. There's certain symbols that come up. So that's the fun part. That's the fun part that I like to, those ahas that people have, where they make that connection of, oh, wow, I was thinking about this and I wasn't sure which way to go. And like, oh, there it is. Now I know, I feel good. So it's like this message, like a download.
Mhm. I feel
Yeah, so
like
I'm gonna answer that question with the healing part too.
Yeah, I feel like this would be perfect for someone like, especially, because a large part of the audience struggles with like anxiety, and they question themselves and, am I good enough? Is this good enough? And for this to be like, I'm even thinking about myself starting like this, like if I was to draw like what's going on with me and in my body right now, I can already see myself kind of getting stumped. And I can see this being so helpful for people to just sort of like let your body kind of take over and do the drawing for you, like in the language of like a hypnotist. Me being a hypnotist is like, it's sort of like letting your subconscious, your body kind of take the wheel and let your arm or your hand go where it wants to go, instead of like trying to think too much about it. That
Mm.
makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. I do a lot of classes as well, and the people who struggle the most are the ones who are stuck in their head. They want things to look a certain way, and then I'm like, don't think about it. Like feel it out. Choose the color that feels good for you. Like find things that are working for you. And when you do that, that's that intuition. And that's what's going to guide you. And that's going to lead you to even feeling even better, right? Versus getting into that thinking mind that gets us too much.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about like how will somebody know whether they're in the thinking mind or like the feeling mind? Because I think, and I see it in my clients, it's like they'll sit there and be like, and they're sitting there and you can tell they're like thinking. But for this audience who may be like, well, how do I do that? How do I switch into my feelings? Can you talk a little bit about like how do I know when I'm in my feeling versus my thinking?
Yeah, I come from like the creative like background. So for me, like when I'm working with a client, I always start with colors. And so I associate colors with certain feelings. And so if we are, if we're kind of stuck in that thinking mind, it's really good to let's stop thinking and let's go with that emotion. Let's identify a color to go with that emotion. And then when we pick that emotion, then we can use that color in the art so that we can be able to express ourselves. And so what happens with the thinking mind, like I'm going to go back to the ego, because the thinking mind is always, I don't know, it's always analyzing, right? It's always like, this is right, or this is wrong, this is good, this is bad. And that with that comes with a lot of fear. And when we make decisions in our life of like, which way should we go? It's like, I have to check in with myself. It's like, am I making a decision from fear or am I making a decision from love? So love is that feeling as well. Fear is a feeling as well. But when we go from like putting it into our body, it's like checking in with ourselves. I think that's where we have to start. It's just going back to our body is like, which way feels good for me? And if I'm going to make that decision out of love, is that going to like bring me joy? Or if I'm making that decision out of fear, then that, is keeping me small, because we're always going to have fear. The fear doesn't really go away. And then we have to be able to stretch into that. But as we move forward, we want to be able to make good decisions that light us up. Right. Right. So it's checking with ourselves first.
I love that. And, for those viewers watching, I hear Leah talking about color and color psychology. And as a hypnotist, we use and refer to colors as well as like what color feels good, what color feels like calmness. And I think another way to know if or what you were just talking about, to know whether you're in your thinking or feeling, it's like you said, it's going to be that sort of gut reaction, right? It's going to be that like instantaneous, like yes or no, like this is it or it's not it. Like there's nothing in between, right?
Right. Yeah, definitely. I love colors, and I also work with the chakras, and I'll just talk a little bit about that as well, because I just find them fascinating. They're these spinning wheels of energy, and then they're located within our body, and we can't physically see them, but they do rotate at a frequency that they have color. And so each of the colors are associated with different parts of the body. And what I've noticed in my art therapy practice is that where people might need more support is actually like it will show up in their art. And then being able to, like, if you're dealing with anxiety and you have a lot of anxiety, red is associated with that root chakra. And so I'll see a lot of red. I'll see that red show up, or it could be that opposite. Like they don't even want to get close to red. They're like, oh, I hate red. They want to avoid the red. So there's definitely something going on there.
Yeah.
So it's really cool that there's a connection, but that's part of the healing as well, as being able to use that color to help you heal and help you get grounded. So there's different techniques to actually heal that part in the body.
That's so cool. And for those viewers watching, like I can even be a testimonial to this. Like, I notice even in myself and my own clients is like when there's pain, it's and I ask them, well, what color is there? It's usually something along the lines of like orange or yellow or red, right? Like some sort of alert going on in the body. And what I hear when I hear words like calmness and relaxation, it's like, oh, it's a purple, or it's a blue, or it's like a pastel color. And even try this right now. Like for those of you watching, what color comes up for you when you think about calmness? Just your gut reaction. What comes up when you think about something that's painful or stressful, and label that, or even physical pain in the body. Leah, I'm not sure if you work with like physical pain. I'm sure you do in some cases, right? With colors.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's interesting because I'll just bring this up because I've done a lot of surveys with creatives of where they're stuck the most. And so as creatives, we like to think in like with our imagination, and we like to, always live in this like world of like how things will be, and think of great ideas. But the hard part is bringing those ideas down, right? So bringing them down to earth. And so where a lot of the creatives are stuck or not being able to express themselves are in that solar plexus, which is the yellow, which is your willpower and your purpose. And that's blocked by shame. And then in the orange, which is the sacral chakra, and that's blocked by guilt. And then the root chakra, which is the red one, which is on. So most of the creatives are blocked in those lower chakras. They can't bring those ideas down. So if you can get balanced in those lower chakras, then it helps getting you into that flow, right? And that's when manifesting gets easy, so that you can bring those great ideas, those great desires down into reality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, can you talk a little bit about, I know we don't have a huge chunk of time, but I keep hearing this word energy. And I remember when I first started hearing like, oh, what's your energy like? Or how does your energy feel? Or what kind of energy are you putting out there? This term was so abstract for me. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't see anything. I just know I'm stressed. Can you talk a little bit about like, what exactly are we talking about here when we talk about energy, and like, how do we know like what our energy is?
How do you know what your energy is? Well, you're definitely going to feel it, right? You're going to feel it in some way. So you want to be able to name it. You want to name it to tame it. So you need to identify what is the energy that I'm feeling that's getting me stuck. So if it is anxiety, in the energetic body is going to be in that lower area, but it's related to different aspects of your life. That's like the root one. And so it's basically your family, it's your finances, it's your body, it's related to those type of things. So really you want to identify what is that's stopping you. So it could be shame. This shame is that solar plexus. You really got to identify like, why am I feeling this shame? Or if it's grief, that's in the heart. So really feeling out in your body where, what that energy is, what that feeling is, so that you can learn how to move it, learn how to release it. So, you can move on and feel good.
Mm-hmm. So it sounds like you can just label this energy with like an emotion or a feeling, maybe like it's the energy of anxiety, or it's the energy of shame, like you said, or the energy of and it really can be anything, right? Like if somebody said self-consciousness, or energy of excitement, right? Even it doesn't have to be a feeling that doesn't feel good, right? Like, but all emotions and feelings have energy. Right.
Yeah. So it could be the opposite, not that one is bad or good. It's exactly. So it's like if the imbalance is there, it's not going to feel as comfortable. But if it's balanced, it's definitely going to feel a lot better. So like for the root chakra, for it to be balanced, you're going to feel safe and secure and supported. In that sacral chakra, you're going to have that feeling of joy, right? And same with that solar plexus, you're going to have that power. So it's definitely not a label as something negative, but it's more about you're wanting to learn about it so that it makes it easier to get back on track, right? Because things happen in life that gets us off track, and so it just makes it easier to get into alignment to get what you want and in your desires to happen.
I love this, and the whole topic of this series is like, what can I do to be better? And for those viewers watching, are you hearing like what Leah's saying and the rest of these speakers on the summit? It's like, it's not about learning a new technique or strategy, or like a new tactic or a way to manipulate others or a way to manipulate or pretend, right? Because I know a large part of this audience, including myself, are recovering people pleasers. And our strategies in the past have been like have been like, well, let me raise my voice to get what I need or what I want from somebody, or let me push harder, let me push that rock uphill, or scream or demand to get my needs met. And I love like just how far we can take it with just this interview series alone, because we can skip over all this frustration and, what's a good technique and and strategy. And while, what we're giving here is techniques and strategies, these are all techniques and strategies to help you help yourself. To start, one of my favorite quotes from one of my mentors is, "It all starts with you."
Mhm.
And if you can start to change the energy you're giving off, again, this is not something you're probably seeing for most of you, but it's definitely something that you're feeling if you check in with your body, and others are also feeling as well, right? The energy that you're giving off, and it's really like learning to play with that and move through that and check where it is in your body. And these are all things, and these are all muscles that you can build to strengthen, that connection with you and your authentic self. So, Leah, I want to thank you so much again for your time. And I know you have so much more to offer this audience. But can you tell us more about the gift you have to offer? And I love your doggy back behind you. So cute. Speaking of good energy. I know you have a free gift for this audience called True You. It's a True You visualization that helps people tap into their authentic self. Can you talk a little bit more about that and where they could go to find that?
Yeah, it's on my site. So you'll have the link that you can give them. And basically, it's going to be below. Basically, you're going to be guided through a visualization that's going to lead you to your true self, your authentic self. And I want to know what that looks like for you, and I want you to see what it looks like for you. And then at the end, I invite you to, get the creativity out and just show up for yourself, because you want to be stepping into that true you every day. And so this is an opportunity to see what that looks like.
I love it. This is exciting. I want to definitely try this. So we'll put the link below. The link is going to be below this video. So go get it today. This offer is not going to be available for long. Like I said, this interview series is only going to be available for 48 hours from the time it releases. So click the link below, go get that free gift. I'm telling you, this is like permanent change here. This is permanent healing and really true manifestation in the things that you want. Like let them come to you. Let it be easy. Right. So Leah, thank you so much for your time. I'm really excited to learn more and share this with even more people in the future. So thank you for being part of this.
Yes, thank you for having me. And I can't wait to see your drawing. You have to email me and share it with me.
Yes. For those of you who are going to go get this free gift, do the drawing, send it to her. And I'm sure she'd be willing to give you some feedback or something like that, right? To kind of help you be put on the right path.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you for your work.
Perfect. Thank you, Leah.